Hi, fellow DataFlex developers. When I did the unit test videos, my intention was to put the error message below the line of the error. So if you look at the list, instead of having it down here, I wanted it to appear on the same row, but just in a section below. And just a few weeks later, DataAccess released a video where cm tells us how to get the most out of WebLists. And it's a really great introduction to WebLists. And here is a component called WebExpandPanel. And I got so excited, so I thought that I have to do a video about it and use that in my unit test. But it's just a 2-minute video for him to show it, and why should I make another video showing the exact same thing? But as it turns out, I could not use the WebList panel, the expand panel, the way that I intended. So I spent like 30 minutes trying to get it to work and had to stop recording because it took too much time and I couldn't get it to work the way I wanted it to. So in this video, I'm going to show you the WebList expand panel and how to implement it and the way I wanted it to work and why it didn't work. And then I'm going to show you how I did solve the problem anyway. So without further ado, let's dive in. First of all, I would like to have some errors when I run this test. And it's a little bit annoying that every time I press run here, it just adds another row. So we're going to fix those two things just to begin with. And the first one, where it just adds a bunch of rows, that we're going to set on the run test. And test button on click, here it says run tests, so we go and find that. So in here we would like to send clear grid of O test list. So if we do that, then it should just rerun the test. Usually you don't run the test multiple times, but if that were the case and you had a long list and that list just appended below, that would be, you wouldn't notice that. So that's just annoying. I should clear before I set the title. So let's run this. And here we got the surrounding apostrophes and the string. And perhaps we would like this one to be bold as well, but we're going to take that later when we fix some other issues here. So first of all, we're going to try to implement the WebList expand panel. Let's look here. So we're in here and we go to the WebList. And we have a WebList and WebList swipe button, but I see no WebList expand button. There is another way to check here. We could do object O error panel is a cWebList expand panel. There you have it. I'm not sure why it hasn't appeared. It might be that it was a long time since I downloaded the latest version or something. Hopefully you have it. Otherwise, you can just write the command right out here. And then I would like, you can see here we have the panel. And now in the panel, I want to have this box where I more or less copy this information box from down here. So let's call that object error box with a cWebHTML box. I think I use that. Yes. And that should be enough. And now I want to set some values in here, and perhaps I would like to have the box to be pink in the background, or some reddish color. So we can set some background color here. There you go. Now we would like to set some data into this object here. And in my mind, we could do that in every row, but this is kind of an error panel. So I'm not sure how to address it, because it kind of contains within the web column list inside the object of this cWebList. But on the other hand, this is not considered a column. So I cannot kind of address it by sending this data to column 4, for instance, and set some status of it to be expanded. There is no such thing that I can send here. And also the send expand row is not available here in this context, because that's I suppose that's only called when the information is actually rendered on screen. And that's why we would have to go into kind of this on process data sets. So when we count the errors, if there is an error, then we would like to web set the ps.html of error box to, and then we have this one, and we have it in cell 3 is value. So then we have set the correct value to the box, and then we're going to send expand row. And here I would like to set it to the list object, but yeah, test list, and then we want the row ID. So I'm gonna pick this, and row ID, and then we're gonna set a breakpoint here, and we're gonna run this, and it's giving us an error already. So there you go. And when we run this and I click here, we go in here, we get the S row ID, and let's see, data, and we have data 0, so we have row ID 1, and I suppose that's what we have here. So we send expand row of Oh, let's see what is the I count. It's 1. Yeah, so here, row 2, there are 4 elements, and the third one says expand. Yeah, so we run this, and now we get an error. And that's because we cannot send expand row to the list. So I'm not sure. You have to send it to the WebList expand panel. So I had to address, let's see, the error panel and see if that works. And we run. And now you can see that we actually got this, but we only got one open. We did not get all of them open. So that's a bit weird. I would like this, but when I click this, it says other string as well, and other string. So it's kind of the same box that is moving when I'm clicking, but it is not, it doesn't contain the right values. And that is because if you look in the developer tools, you can see that the expand panel is only implemented, this expand panel. It only contains in one each time. So if I click here, the expand panel will move down and become part of this list item instead. So the div will just move from this row to that row. And if I click here, the div moves back up again to row number 2. So you cannot see divs on any one. So you only have one, and I wanted to have multiple, all of them, where it's red, it should be open. So I had to figure out another approach. So let's try to do that instead. So we remove that, and we have to remove our error panel. And instead, I'm just going to use this info column. And there is a feature, and set 100 in width of that one. So now we have this column here, and you can actually set it on new line. So here we go. Now we got the info on a new line. And if I run this, you'll see that we got our, not entirely, but it's there. But we got this line here as well, and we don't want it on all of these. So we want to try to avoid that, and we would also want it to be kind of pink or reddish. So how are we going to remove this if it's doesn't have an error, and just show the panel if there is an error? We're going to start by adding a class. So when we do this, we want to move test purpos to see the row dot cells 3 dot, let's see this name, and if it is not, then we want to add the class test Okay. Now we have these classes. Now we just need to make sure that the view is updated correctly. So what we have to do now is we need to open the CSS document so we can add these classes to it. And we have in the app HTML, we have a CSS style, and we have the application CSS. And first of all, we want to find all of these. Let's see, there we go. And they actually have a unique class that is called data df col equals to 3. It's not a class, but it is an attribute for this column. And we can actually access that by writing CSS that looks like this. And then we're just going to say display none. And now we can do this .test underscore fail. Display. And if we do a display block, it will just show us a block. So we don't want that. We want it to be displayed as a table cell, because that's what it is. And here we set the background to FF999, color. So in order to get this, we need to go into the index HTML. And here we want to set the version of this to a new number. Rerun this, unit test run. Now you can see that we have this removed here, and here we have it. But I want it to be kind of the full length. So we really need to go in here and say this column info. No, it's not displayed. Go to the CSS and just remove this temporarily so that we actually can see them inside of this. There we have the info, and we want to have PI list column span to 2. So this is the list column span. And if I run now, we should actually get the column span over the entire width. And now, yeah, we did remove the styling, this one. So let's get that back in. There we go. So now we have these lines here, and we have nothing there and nothing there. And that's exactly what we wanted, apart from the BR being shown here. And we would actually, I would like to have this one in bold, just for good measures. So how to do that? There's actually a set pb enable or allow HTML view true. And we would like to do that for the title as well, because then in the title, which is the column 1, when we fill with the data, and we do it here, set label, we can actually check if the label is a label or a title. And I'm just going to see if I remember. Yeah, what is the iStatus on the first one? Just run this again. Continue debugging. And the status is -1. So we can say if iStatus equals to -1, and instead of doing this, we're gonna move something like this, and the end tag for that to that. Now let's rerun this, hopefully for the last time, and see if we can get it to work. And there you go. We have a bold title on this one, and we have some expected and found on multiple lines in here. And for good measures, let's restore our util so that we get all correct. You can just run and everything looks as it should. And I hope you liked that video and got a lot of things out from it that could be useful. And until next time, have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.